Hello, my name is Blakely, and today I'm going to be reading The Canterville Ghost, The Haunted House by Oscar Wilde. When Mr. Harriam B. Otis, the American minister, bought Canterville Chase, everyone told him that he was doing a very foolish thing, as there was no doubt all the place was haunted. "I will take the furniture and the ghost at a valuation," said the minister. "I come from a modern country where we have everything that money could buy, and if there was such thing as a ghost, we should have it in one of our public museums." A few weeks later, the Otis family moved into Canterville Chase. It was a fine evening when they arrived, and the old housekeeper, Mrs. Umney, made them welcome. They went into the library, a low, long room with a ceiling of black oak, and at one end of the large stained glass window, suddenly Mrs. Otis caught sight of a dull red stain on the floor by the fireplace. "I'm afraid that something's been spilled there." "Yes, madam," replied the housekeeper in a low voice. "Blood has been spilled on that spot." "How horrid!" cried Mrs. Otis. "I don't at all care for blood stains in a sitting room." "It's the blood of Lady Eleanor de Canterville, who was murdered on that very spot by her husband, Sir Simon, in 1575. Sir Simon disappeared suddenly 9 years later, and his body has never been discovered. But his guilty spirit still haunts the Chase." "That's all nonsense," said Washington Otis. "Pinkerton's Paragon detergent will clean it up in no time." He took out a small stick of the famous cleaner and knelt down and rubbed the stain. But sooner that he had spoken, a terrible flash of lightning lit up, and old Mrs. Umney fainted. "It's the blood of Lady Canterville," she moaned. "It always reappears." "Well," said Mrs. Otis calmly, "we'll renew the Paragon detergent every morning." The next morning the stain had returned, a bright crimson red patch on the floor. "I don't think it's the fault of the Paragon," said Washington, "for I've tried it on everything. It must be the ghost." He rubbed the spot again, and it disappeared. But the next day, it was there once more, this time a dull purple. The next day, it turned blue, sometimes a rich green, and then again deep crimson. It was nearly 1 o'clock when Miss Otis was awakened by a curious noise in the corridor, a clanking sound of metal chains rattling. He put on his slippers, opened the door, and saw an old man of terrible aspect with long gray hair and red burning eyes and heavy chains hanging from his wrists and ankles. "Oh, dear sir," said Mr. Otis calmly, "I really must insist on you oiling those chains. Here, I have a small bottle of, here it is. A small bottle of Tamari Rising Sun lubricator." With these words, he laid the bottle down close to the door and closed the door. For a moment, the ghost stood motionless with indignation. Then he flung the bottle upon the floor and fled out the corridor, uttering hollow groans. He had never been treated in this manner before, and the indignity roused his furious temper. He was determined to frighten these rude Americans out of their wits. The next night, the ghost made his appearance again. He decided to wear the suit of old armor, and then he stood in the hall. But when he tried to lift the breastplate It proved too heavy for him, and he fell to the ground with a large crash. He got up, rubbing his knees. "I'm afraid you hurt yourself," said Mrs. Otis. "Would you like me to give you Dr. Dobell's tincture? I think that should fit you right up." The ghost glared at her and then rose with a low groan and vanished. But the twins were waiting for him in the corridor. As he passed, they discharged their 2 pewters at him with remarkable accuracy and aim. With wild fury, he retreated to his chamber, determined to make a proper demonstration. "I'm going to scare this family." The next night, when the clock struck 1, he prepared for his grand appearance as Jonas the Graveless and began gliding down the corridor. No sooner had he turned the corner than he slipped on a butter slide the twins had arranged for him and fell heavily on his bed. At the same time, 2 pillows descended upon his head, followed by peals of childish laughter. He could stand it no longer. Worn out, drenched with a jug of water the boys had thrown on him, and utterly humiliated, he gave up further attempts to appear the night. He was never seen again at any reasonable hour. Sometimes when the family were dining, he would make faint noises with his chains in the corridor, just to remind them that he was still there. But he no longer attempted to frighten anyone. The Otis family slept peacefully, and the mysterious bloodstain, thanks to Pinkertons, had faded at last. Sir Simon de Canterville, once the terror of his own home, has met his match in the modern American family, and a bottle of Pinkerton's Paragon detergent could clean everything, even